Gene Park sat at a private corner table inside a busy Korean barbecue restaurant in Atlanta. He wore a clean black suit, his hair neat, his eyes calm like someone who feared nothing. Across from him sat his fiancée, Ava. Her fingers kept shaking around her glass. She tried to smile, but her eyes looked everywhere except at him. Their waitress, Tara, walked up wearing her simple work uniform. She placed new plates on the table. At the same time, she slipped a small folded paper under Jin's napkin. She did not say a word. She only gave a quick look, like she wanted him to see it fast. Jin opened the note with one hand. The message was short. Your fiancé sold you out. They're in position. Jin slowly raised his head. His eyes locked on Ava. She looked away fast. Outside the restaurant windows, strange men were walking toward the door, moving with purpose. Trouble was seconds away. Why would the woman he loves betray him? Make sure you subscribe for more stories like this. Tomorrow, I will drop another powerful story you will not want to miss. Your support helps us bring more exciting stories to you. Thank you to everyone watching from the United States, Australia, Mexico, France, the United Kingdom, Canada, Brazil, Japan, Jamaica, and so many others. We love you all, and you are part of our family here. Gene Park was known in Atlanta as a smart businessman. People saw his name on bright restaurant signs and food trucks across the city. They thought he was just a young man who worked hard and made a good life for himself. He came from a Korean immigrant family that taught him respect, loyalty, and strength. To strangers, he was polite and quiet. But inside his private world, Gene was someone else. When Gene was young, his family faced many struggles. They had little money, and many powerful people tried to push them down. Gene learned fast that sometimes the world only respects those who refuse to fall. Over the years, he built strong connections. He protected his community from those who tried to harm them. People who needed help came to him when no one else would listen. That is how Gene became a leader people trusted. His power grew, not from fear at first, but from the respect he earned. But power always brings attention. Soon, others wanted what he had. Men with cold hearts watched him rise and planned ways to stop him. Rivals who cared only about money saw Gene as a threat. They wanted control. They wanted everything he built. Gene had survived many attacks in the past. He was calm under pressure. He never showed fear. He always had a plan. But this time was different. His enemy had found a way into his personal life, into his heart. Ava. Gene met Ava during one of his charity events. She was kind and soft-spoken. She made him laugh, which was rare. She listened to him like his words mattered. Gene liked that she treated him like a normal person and not like a leader everyone feared or respected. For the first time in years, he let someone get close. He soon trusted her more than anyone. He believed she was his future, his family. He believed she loved him for who he was. When he proposed, he was sure she would never hurt him. He thought she would stand by him no matter what danger came. But there were small things he ignored. Times when she asked too many questions about his meetings. Nights she stepped outside to take calls she would not explain. Days she looked at him with worry and fear instead of love. Gene told himself she was tired, or stressed, or simply adjusting to his world. Love blinded him. His closest advisors warned him to be careful. They said trust was not something he should give without thinking. Gene brushed off every warning. He had dealt with enemies in suits, in alleys, in other countries. He was ready for them. But he was not ready for betrayal from the person he held closest. Gene believed Ava was the one safe place in his life. He let his guard down around her. He shared secrets, plans, decisions. He thought they were building a future together. He did not know she had already made a deal with someone else. Someone who wanted him gone for good. Now, in that restaurant, the truth was in his hand. One short note from a stranger had broken his perfect trust. His heart was steady but colder now. He had to face the hardest reality of all. His biggest enemy was the woman sitting right in front of him. He studied her face. The slight shake in her hands. The way she avoided his eyes. Something inside him tightened. He kept calm, but everything had changed. Outside, danger waited. Inside, betrayal sat only inches away. Gene knew he had seconds to act. He could not let his personal pain make him weak. He was not just a man in love. He was a man who had survived many battles. This would be the most personal one yet. Tara had been working at the restaurant for almost 2 years. She never planned to work there forever, but life had changed for her. She was only in her mid-20s, yet she felt older because she carried so many responsibilities. She lived in a small apartment on the south side of Atlanta with her little brother, Malik. Their parents passed away in a car accident, so Tara became both sister and guardian overnight. She worked long shifts and sometimes picked up extra shifts just to make sure rent was paid and Malik had what he needed for school. Most people did not know how much she went through. They only saw a quiet girl with tired eyes, always moving from table to table, always polite. She never complained. She never broke down at work. She believed strength was doing the right thing even when she felt tired, even when no one else understood. She did not have time for fun. She did not have many friends. Her whole mission was to protect the one family she had left. Every morning before going to work, she reminded herself, do good, help others. Do not let fear control you. That mindset kept her going. The restaurant was always loud with customers cheering, laughing, and enjoying meals. Tara moved through the noise with focus. She paid attention to details. She learned how to read people quickly. Who was rude, who was kind, who might leave a good tip, and who planned to walk out without paying. These skills helped her every day. On the night Jean Park and Ava walked in, something felt different. Tara noticed it as she greeted them at the table. Jean was calm, confident, and seemed in control of everything. But Ava, her hands were too shaky, her smile too forced. Tara saw fear in her eyes. Not fear of Jean, but fear of something outside the room. Tara tried to ignore it. She told herself it was none of her business. She could not get involved with strangers. She had enough trouble in her life already. But her instincts kept warning her something bad was close. While setting their drinks down, she heard a soft whisper from Ava. Tara did not mean to listen, but the words slipped into her ear. Yes, he's right here. Wait for my signal. Ava quickly lowered her phone like she had made a mistake. She looked around to see if anyone noticed. Tara kept her face still, pretending she heard nothing. But her heart started beating faster. Tara stepped back, watching carefully. Ava checked the entrance again and again. She looked nervous every time someone walked by. She kept touching her ear like something was hidden there. Tara thought about telling her manager, but what would she say? A customer is acting suspicious? Her manager would probably tell her to focus on work. Tara returned to the kitchen, but she could not shake the feeling that danger was close. She reminded herself that she needed her job. She could not risk trouble. If she got fired, who would take care of Malik? Fear pushed her to stay quiet. But Tara was not the type to walk away when someone was in trouble. She remembered the night of her parents' accident. She remembered how nobody in the street stopped to help until it was too late. She promised herself she would never ignore a cry for help like others ignored her family. When she looked back at the couple again, she saw Ava's expression change. It was the look of someone who had already decided to do something terrible. Jean, on the other hand, seemed relaxed, unaware of the danger sitting right next to him. That bothered Tara. It was unfair. He had no idea what was coming. A voice inside her whispered, "Do something." Fear whispered back, "Stay out of it." Tara took a slow breath. Her hands shook a little, but she made a choice. She grabbed her notepad, the same one she used to write food orders, and tore off a small piece of paper. She tried to keep her writing short, so no one could see it from across the room. The message was simple and clear. Your fiancé sold you out. They're in position. Her heart pounded as she walked back to their table. With one smooth move, she placed the food down and slid the note under Jin's napkin. She prayed it was not too late. Few people would risk their job, their safety, and their future for a stranger they did not even know. But Tara believed that everybody deserves someone to look out for them, even powerful men in fancy suits. She took a step back, her breath tight in her chest. She thought about Malik and how she needed to make it home. She asked herself if she had made a huge mistake. She wondered if these people were dangerous and if her choice would put her in harm's way. But deep inside, she already knew the truth. Doing nothing would have been the real mistake. Now she could only wait and hope she made the right choice. Ava never planned to betray anyone when she first met Jean. Back then, she saw him as a strong but gentle man who treated her well. He brought her into a world she never knew, fancy dinners, important events, and expensive gifts she never asked for. She felt special, like she finally had a place in life. But Jin's world was also dangerous. Even though he tried to protect her from it, rumors found their way to Ava. People whispered that Jean was involved with powerful underground groups. She tried to ignore those whispers because she loved him and he trusted her. She wanted a future with him. Until the night everything changed. Ava was leaving a grocery store when a black car rolled up beside her. A man stepped out, calm and confident. He said he wanted to talk about Jean. Ava tried to walk away, but he spoke clearly. We know who you are to him. We know everything he shares with you. We also know a lot of people want him gone. Ava froze. The man continued with a soft smile. You can be free from danger. You can start a new life. But you must help us remove him. Ava shook her head. She said she loved Jean. She said she would never hurt him. But the man did not leave. He leaned closer and spoke words that crushed her heart. If Jean falls, you fall with him. His world does not forgive. When he makes enemies, they will come for you first. He handed her a small phone and got back in the car before she could respond. The door shut. The car drove away, leaving her alone with fear in her hands. She wanted to throw the phone away, pretend the moment never happened. But fear whispered louder each day. What if they were right? What if Jin's enemies already knew her face? What if something happened to him, and she became a target? Days passed, and Ava kept the phone hidden. She loved Jean, but she also feared his world. She asked him questions, trying to understand how much danger he was really in. Jean always told her everything was fine. She wanted to believe him, but she saw the security guards, the late-night meetings, the way he always watched his surroundings. It scared her. One night, the phone finally buzzed. A message came from the same man. You have one chance. We know where he will be tonight. Help us. We only need you to keep him inside long enough. Her hands shook as she replied. What will happen to him? The answer came fast. He will disappear. Quiet. No pain. Her heart dropped. She thought about walking away, marrying Jean, starting a family. But every future she imagined came with a shadow of fear. She worried she could never escape the dangers tied to his life. The final message broke her completely. Help us, and your new life begins tomorrow. If you refuse, you and Jean both lose. Ava cried in the dark. She told herself she was protecting herself. She told herself maybe Jean would survive. She told herself she had no choice. But she knew these were excuses. Fear had taken control. On the night of their dinner, Ava kept looking toward the entrance, waiting for the men the group sent. She pressed her hidden earpiece, whispering updates. She tried to act normal, but she looked like someone drowning inside. Her voice trembled on the phone. Yes, he's here. Just wait for my signal. That was the moment Tara overheard her whispering. A stranger, who had no reason to care, had noticed the fear and the guilt Ava tried to hide. Ava saw Tara watching and her heart skipped. For a moment, she thought of calling everything off. She almost told Jean the truth. She almost begged him to run. But she was already too deep. Her fear of the rival group was bigger than the love she once felt. In her mind, she was saving herself before everything collapsed. She smiled at Jean across the table, but her eyes could not hide the storm inside her. Her breathing was fast, her hands cold. She kept checking the time and waiting for a sign from outside. The men were already in position. They only needed her final signal. Each second that passed pulled her further away from the woman she used to be. The woman who loved Jean and wanted a peaceful life with him. Ava took a slow sip from her glass. She tried to calm her nerves and told herself again, this is the only way. But deep down, she knew a person always has a choice. She chose betrayal. The moment Jean finished reading the note Tara gave him, something in his eyes changed. He did not panic. He did not jump up. His face stayed calm, but his body was alert. It was the look of a man who had lived through danger many times and learned to react fast. Tara stood nearby, acting like she was just checking on tables. In truth, she kept watching the doors and windows. She saw dark shapes moving outside. The rival group had already taken their positions. She felt her pulse pounding hard, but she stayed steady. Her job was to protect the people inside first. She quietly whispered to a family near the corner, telling them there was a small emergency and they should head to the kitchen area. She kept her voice soft so no one would panic. One by one, she guided customers away from the windows. Jean looked across the table at Ava. She forced a smile, but her hands were shaking. She knew the plan had begun. The men outside were waiting for a final signal from her. Instead of speaking to her, Jean reached for his phone and pressed a single button. That button sent a silent alert to his own guards stationed nearby. They were out of sight, but they always kept watch over him. Ava noticed his movement and felt a cold rush through her. She knew Jean sensed something. She tried to keep her voice normal. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Jean looked at her for a long moment, quiet and calm, but his silence said everything. He knew. Outside, the sound of tires screeched softly. More men rushed toward the entrance with weapons hidden under jackets. They were ready to force their way inside. Jean stood up slowly, placing his body in a position where he could watch both exits. His guards entered the restaurant from the back door, pretending to be random customers before taking defensive positions. Ava realized the plan was slipping out of her control. Fear took over her voice. "You were supposed to trust me," she whispered, eyes filling with tears. Jean gave her a look filled with disappointment and hurt. No anger yet, just sadness that cut deeper than a shout. Outside, one of the rivals spoke through his earpiece, counting down. 3-2. Before he could reach 1, Jean flipped a table for cover and yelled for everyone to stay low. His guards pulled out their weapons. The windows smashed as armed men rushed in from both the front and back. Chaos hit the restaurant all at once. People screamed and ducked under tables. Plates crashed. Glass shattered everywhere. Tara grabbed a young boy and pushed him behind a counter to keep him safe. Even with fear in her chest, she did not stop helping others. One of Jin's guards shielded Jean as bullets tore through chairs and walls. The smell of smoke filled the room. Jean moved with quick steps, knowing he had to take control before anyone got hurt. Ava froze in the middle of it all. She never wanted violence. She never expected it would turn into a full attack with innocent people caught in the middle. She covered her ears and crouched under a table, shaking. Tara saw one of the armed men heading toward the kitchen where she had sent the customers. He was trying to get them as hostages. Tara grabbed a heavy metal tray and slammed it into his arm. It did not knock him down, but it slowed him just enough for one of Jin's guards to stop him. Her bravery was noticed. Jean, from his cover, shouted at Tara, "Keep them down. Stay safe." His voice was firm but full of appreciation. Another burst of gunfire ripped through the room. One bullet hit the wall close to Jin's head. He turned and fired back, forcing the attackers to retreat behind overturned chairs. Jin's guards slowly pushed forward, working to take control of the main entrance. The rival group did not expect such strong resistance. Their plan was falling apart fast. One attacker grabbed Ava by the arm, thinking she could still be useful. He tried to pull her outside. She screamed, terrified now of the same men she once relied on. Jean saw them dragging her and pushed forward, ignoring a bullet that grazed his shoulder. His focus was on getting to her. A flash grenade rolled across the floor. It exploded with a loud blast. Everyone covered their heads. The room filled with smoke. Jean coughed and waved his hand in front of his face to see through the haze. The attackers used the confusion to escape. They rushed out, dragging their injured with them. Their leaders shouted for a retreat before they suffered more losses. The cars outside roared away into the night. Silence slowly returned to the restaurant. The smoke began to fade. Jean stood in the center of the room, breathing hard, shirt torn, shoulder bleeding. His guards checked each corner to make sure the danger was gone. Customers started to crawl out, shaking and crying but alive because Tara helped keep them safe. She comforted a mother and her daughter who were still covering their heads. Ava sat on the floor, face in her hands, unable to meet Jin's eyes. Everything was broken. Her plan, her excuses, her heart. Jean walked toward her. His steps were slow. His expression showed hurt more than anger. Her betrayal was clear now, and she could not hide from it. Tara watched him, knowing this moment would decide what kind of man Jean truly was. The man feared by many. The man she just risked her life to help. He looked down at Ava. His voice was quiet, heavy. "Why?" Ava could not answer. The guilt was too strong. Jean lifted his head, looking around at the destruction. The restaurant was ruined. People were shaken. His own guards were injured. All because someone he trusted sold him out. Tara stood near him. She did not speak, but he nodded at her, a silent thank you for saving his life. For now, the attack was over. But the night was not finished with them. Ava sprinted out the back door of the restaurant, her breath sharp and fast. She stumbled into the narrow alley behind the building. The cold night air hit her face, but fear kept her body burning hot. Her hands shook as she tried to pull out her phone to call the group who promised to save her. Her mind kept repeating the same sentence. "I had no choice. I had no choice." She pressed her back against the brick wall, holding her chest as she tried to calm herself. Her plan was simple. Leave Jean behind, let the attackers do their job, and disappear into a new life. But guilt was eating her alive. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't know if she was crying for Jean, or for the person she no longer recognized. She whispered to herself, "It's too late to go back." Suddenly, a shadow stepped into the alley. Ava froze. Jean walked toward her slowly, dust on his jacket from the fight inside. His face was calm, but his eyes carried silent pain. He was hurt, not by the bullets, but by the truth he had just learned. Ava tried to speak, but her words fell apart. I didn't want any of this. I swear." Jean didn't yell. He didn't curse her. He didn't threaten her. His voice was steady but soft, like someone holding back a storm inside. "When did you start planning it?" Ava covered her face, ashamed. "They told me you would get me killed. They told me your world would swallow me. I was scared." Jean stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. "You think I would ever let harm come to you?" he asked. She shook her head, crying harder. "I didn't know what to believe anymore." Jean stared at the woman he once planned to marry. The same woman who held his heart. The same woman who now wanted him dead. He imagined all the times she smiled at him, hugged him, whispered that she loved him, while fear was twisting her thoughts in silence. He took a deep breath. His voice sounded tired. "I trusted you more than anyone. I would have given you everything." Ava fell to her knees, holding onto his arm. "Please. I was wrong. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was scared. They said they would come for me next." He gently removed her hands. "I believe you were scared," he said quietly. "But fear cannot be an excuse to destroy someone who loves you." Ava's body shook. She sobbed like a child, wishing she could go back to the first moment she doubted him. If only she spoke to him instead of strangers who fed her fear. What will happen to me now?" she whispered. Jean looked away for a moment, as if he didn't want to see her broken like this. He clenched his fists once, then relaxed them. His voice remained calm. "You will be taken somewhere safe. My men will protect you. I don't want you harmed." Ava stared up at him in shock. "You're letting me live?" Jean didn't answer right away. He lifted his eyes to the night sky, fighting back the pain that still burned inside him. "I will not be the one to punish you," he finally said. "You will have to live knowing what you chose." Ava felt those words cut deeper than any weapon. Two of Jin's guards entered the alley. Jean nodded toward Ava. They gently lifted her from the ground and led her away. She didn't resist. She didn't speak. She only cried silently, unable to escape the truth she now had to face every day. Ava looked over her shoulder one last time. Jean stood there, alone in the dark. She wanted to tell him that she still loved him. She wanted to explain that fear pushed her into a corner. But no words came. She knew he had already heard enough. As the guards led her to a secure car, her heart fell into a place worse than death, regret. Jean watched the car door close. The sound felt like a goodbye he never asked for. He slowly walked back toward the restaurant, his steps heavy but controlled. Ava was no longer part of his world. What hurt the most was not the betrayal, but the love that still remained despite it. Inside the restaurant, Tara moved quickly, guiding customers toward the back exit. Her voice was calm, even though her heart raced. "This way. Stay low. Stay together." People listened because she sounded like someone who could be trusted. She pushed open a side door and waved families out to safety. She made sure the children were shielded, telling their parents to keep moving and not look back. Gunshots sounded from the front of the restaurant. Tara flinched, but she didn't run. She refused to leave until everyone was safe. One older couple struggled to move fast. Tara stepped under the man's arm to support him. "It's okay," she whispered. "You'll be fine. I got you." Fear tried to invade her mind, but courage pushed it away. She didn't know Jean. She didn't even know if he was a good man or a bad one. But she knew innocent people didn't deserve to be caught in this. A little boy cried behind her, frozen in fear. Tara knelt and held his face gently. "Look at me," she said softly. "You are strong. We are walking out together." He nodded and grabbed her hand tightly. Tara led the last group through the exit and into the parking lot behind the building. She could have left with them. She could have run far away. But she turned around and went back inside. She couldn't stop thinking about Jean still in danger. Smoke from flash grenades made the air thick. Broken tables and spilled food covered the floor. A glass window shattered near her, and she ducked behind a booth. She saw Jean stepping through the mess with one of his guards, still handling the situation with control. Their eyes met. He couldn't hide the surprise in his face. This waitress, someone he had never spoken to before tonight, was risking her life for people she didn't even know. Tara pointed toward the back door. "Everyone's safe," she told him, breathing hard but steady. "You should go too." Before Jean could answer, a loud crash came from the side entrance. Another attacker pushed through the door, raising his weapon toward Tara. Jean acted faster. He grabbed a fallen chair and threw it straight at the gunman. The weapon fired into the ceiling. Tara covered her ears and dropped to the floor. Jin's guard tackled the attacker before he fired again. Silence finally settled over the room. The threat had passed. Tara stood slowly, shaking from adrenaline. Jean approached her, his expression serious but full of respect. "You saved lives today," he said. "Thank you." Tara swallowed hard. She didn't know how to respond to a man with such a heavy presence. "I just did what I thought was right," she replied. Jean nodded. "Most people look away. Most people only protect themselves. You are different." For the first time since the chaos began, Tara felt the weight of what she had done. Her legs threatened to give out, but she kept standing. Outside, sirens grew louder. Police cars surrounded the restaurant. Officers rushed in, securing the area. Those who attempted the attack were handcuffed and taken away. The danger was gone, but the heavy feeling in the air remained. Tara stepped aside to give a statement to authorities. She kept her answers simple. She explained she only worked there and saw something wrong, so she acted. The officers admired her bravery and thanked her. Even in chaos, she spoke clearly and stayed humble. After they finished questioning her, Jean walked up once more. He had cleaned himself up a little, but the stress of the night still showed on his face. "You helped many people live to see tomorrow," Jean told her. "That means something." She nodded. "I couldn't let people get hurt. I wouldn't be able to live with myself." Jean studied her for a moment. He saw strength she probably didn't even know she had. She wasn't someone born into hardship. She was someone who faced hardship and chose to rise above it. "If you ever need anything," Jean said quietly, "you call me." Tara didn't know what kind of power Jean had behind those words, but the tone of his voice made it clear. He meant every bit of it. A group of customers who had made it to safety spotted Tara and rushed over to thank her. They hugged her and cried, telling her she was a hero. She smiled softly, still overwhelmed. For the first time in a long time, Tara felt proud of herself. She didn't do it for money. She didn't do it for attention. She did it because it was the right thing. As the flashing lights from police cars faded into the night and the restaurant started to quiet down, Jean watched Tara from a distance. In a world full of betrayal and selfishness, a waitress, someone who owed him nothing, had stepped forward and shown pure courage. It reminded him that there were still good people out there. People worth protecting. People worth trusting. Tara glanced up and saw Jean watching her. He gave her a small nod. Not as a boss, not as a powerful man, but as someone grateful to still be alive. She returned the nod before she walked away to find her brother and go home. The night had changed both of their lives forever. The morning after the attack, Tara woke up feeling like the night before had been a nightmare. She stared at the ceiling of the small apartment she shared with her younger brother. The room was quiet. The world outside sounded normal again, but her heart still felt loud. Her brother, Malik, rushed in holding his phone. "Tara, you are on the news." She sat up quickly. He showed her a video clip of the restaurant scene. Customers telling reporters that a brave waitress helped them escape. Some even mentioned her by name. Tara covered her mouth in shock. "That's me." Malik nodded proudly. "You save people. You're amazing." Tara smiled a little, but she felt shy. She wasn't used to praise. She only did what felt right. She never expected cameras or interviews. She got dressed for work like any other day. But when she reached the restaurant, everything was different. Customers stood outside taking pictures. News vans lined the street. Workers whispered and pointed when she walked in. Her manager, Mr. Harris, hurried over. "Tara, I don't know how to thank you enough," he said, voice shaking with emotion. "You saved lives. You showed courage that most people never find." Tara lowered her eyes. "I just wanted people to be safe." Mr. Harris placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "That's exactly why you deserve this." He handed her a folded paper. Tara opened it slowly. Her eyes widened. You're promoting me?" she asked. Mr. Harris smiled. "Not just a promotion. You'll be managing afternoon shifts." Better pay. Better hours. You earned this. Tara felt tears form, but this time they came with hope, not fear. Thank you truly. Thank you. Her co-workers clapped for her. A few hugged her. She felt lighter than she had felt in years. Later that afternoon, a black luxury car stopped in front of the restaurant. The doors opened, and Gene stepped out. He wore a clean white shirt and a calm expression. He looked stronger than he did the night before. The customers outside recognized him, whispering in confusion. Why would a man like that return after such a violent night? Gene walked straight inside and asked to speak with Tara. When she stepped out, he bowed his head slightly, a sign of deep respect in his culture. Thank you, he said. You help people live. That is not something I will forget. Tara tried to remain calm, but she still felt small next to his presence. I just tried to do what was right, she replied. Gene nodded with a faint smile. There are many people with power, he said quietly, but very few people with a heart like yours. You didn't have to help. Yet you did. That makes you special. Tara didn't know what to say. Compliments never came easy for her. Gene continued. I heard you were promoted. That is good, but I want to help you more. Not because you helped me, but because you showed the kind of courage this world needs. He handed her a simple card with a phone number on it. You can call me anytime. For anything. You are not alone in this life. Tara stared at the card in her hand. She knew it wasn't just a number. It was a promise. A door to a better future. She looked up and met Jin's eyes. Thank you for believing in me. Gene shook his head. You believed in what was right. That is what guided you. All I am doing is recognizing that. For a moment, both stood in silence. Two people from different worlds, connected by one night of decisions. Gene turned to leave, but before stepping out the door, he looked back. There will always be people who choose fear, he said. But you chose courage. Hold on to that. Tara watched the car pull away. She didn't feel nervous anymore. She didn't feel small. She felt stronger. Later that day, she stood in front of the restaurant looking at the bright sky. Malik rushed up to her again. So what now? He asked with a huge smile. Tara breathed in deeply, for the first time feeling like the path ahead was wide open. Now, she said with confidence. Now we start living without fear. She held her brother close, feeling safe and proud. She knew life wouldn't be perfect. But she wasn't the same woman she was yesterday. She had faced danger and refused to run. She protected people she didn't even know. Her courage changed everything. Her courage gave her a future worth fighting for. Tara stood outside the restaurant at the end of her shift. The wind was quiet. The world felt peaceful again. She looked around and thought about everything that happened. She chose to protect people. She chose courage. And because of that, lives were safe. She remembered the fear she felt the night before. Her heart wanted her to run, but her values told her to help. Tara learned something important. Doing the right thing matters, even when it scares you. She showed that one brave person can change everything. She also thought about Ava. Betrayal is a path that takes away trust. Ava traded loyalty for fear. She hurt a friend who believed in her. Her choice destroyed her own future. Tara realized trust must be earned and protected. When trust breaks, the damage is deep. Tara looked at Jin's card in her hand. Help came from a man she barely knew. Life can surprise you. Sometimes a stranger gives you strength. Sometimes support arrives when you feel alone. She took a deep breath and smiled. She would not let fear control her anymore. She had courage now. She had hope. She had a new beginning. But there was still a question that followed her home that night. Gene was not an ordinary man. Powerful people were after him. His world was dangerous. His enemies were quiet but waiting for their chance. Tara knew the peace around her was not permanent. Something was coming. Something strong. Something that would pull Gene back into trouble. And she felt that her life might be connected to his in ways she did not understand yet. The future was waiting. New challenges. New secrets. New choices. Tara was ready to face them with her head up and her heart strong. Before the screen fades, the voice becomes warm. Please like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your support means everything. You are part of this family. You help these stories grow across the world. To our amazing viewers from Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, the United States, the UK, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, the Philippines, India, and every country watching, thank you. We love you. We see you. We appreciate you. Tomorrow's episode will be even more exciting. Stay with us. A new story begins soon.